Hello, everyone. My name is Pilbauer, and I'm super happy to be here today and to have the opportunity to talk to you about my favorite topic, transformation, digital transformation, and payments and financial services. I work for BankservAfrica, and besides us being the largest clearinghouse, payments clearinghouse in Africa, we are also celebrating an important birthday this year because we will be turning 50. Yes, that's half a century of us processing payments. But more importantly, we are leading the industry to change how people feel and experience payments and more broadly financial services. And we cannot do it alone. We need you, we need the banks, financial institutions, and any other innovative companies which are thinking, hey, I can actually make the consumer experience a little bit better when it comes to digital and when it comes to payments. So what I want to talk to you today about is my take on where we are, on the digital transformation journey, on the payment transformation and modernization journey. I want to talk a little bit what could we do to make financial services and payment services more sustainable, more future-proofed, to serve the economy better. Then what does it mean? What are the key enablers? What are we busy with? What are the key things we have to think about? And more importantly, how it all can come together to really change people's lives and to improve economy of our country and the overall experience of people around the world. So let's dive into the digital transformation, because digital transformation, modernization, financial inclusion, digital inclusion, all of those buzzwords have been around for quite some time. And you may want to ask, okay, when are we starting, or where are we on the journey? And I can tell you that I believe we have been on this journey for quite some time now. Yes, everybody talks about the fourth industrial revolution. Well, that's the reason why it's a fourth one. It's just an evolution. It's an evolution of who we are, where we are, and what we need to do. So let me tell you, the time is now. We see digital transformation happening in many other industries. And quite frankly, the banking and payments, we may have fallen a little bit behind. But the other thing I want to say is I just came back from Canada, so from a developed economy, and there are a lot of things we can be proud of as South Africans or any other people living in Africa, because some of the payments innovations which have happened across the continent over the last decade are quite impressive. So let's look at South Africa. We have banked people, underbanked people, and unbanked people. It's unfortunate, but only 25% of people living in South Africa can be considered fully banked. Yes, we have another more or less 50% of citizens, fellow South Africans, they have a bank account, they have a card, but they are hardly using it, so they revert to cash. And based on some of our research, we have seen that 9 out of 10 payments, and those are mainly small value payments for your day-to-day necessities, 9 out of 10 are still happening in cash. So we have a great opportunity, because when you look at globally, the developed economies and the emerging economies have taken quite a different paths towards digital transformation. And what's changing is the digital world is dominated by mobile or smartphones. I have just seen recently some statistics, and it seems that over 6.6 billion smartphones are currently being used on this planet, which is, I think, 85% of population. Even in South Africa, I think we are over 80, just under 90% of people having a mobile phone. And over 60% of that are actually smartphones. So we are at a crossroad as an economy, which is technically a dual economy in South Africa, because we have components of very developed economy and some components of the emerging economy. We are at a crossroad, and we have to make a choice. Are we gonna continue kind of the more traditional paths, or are we gonna take an advantage of leaping forward and using something which maybe wasn't used in the traditional definition of payments or financial services. And why we need to do that is because the other industries have done it. We all see it in our day-to-day world. That things are changing. We use technology everywhere, and it makes our lives a little bit better. So let me show you a short video, which I think you may like.
Honey, door please.
Okay, I'm coming.
1, 2, 3. Wow! Speak in tongues, talk it out. Do you hear me now? You're so loud, oh, you're something else. Do you hear me now? Let your motor run around, round. So ready, better now than ever. Oh, so original. Backfire, set back the cock. Turn it up if you wanna remember. Oh, so original. One more time, now let's go. Do you hear me now? 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 Speak in tongues, talk it out. Do you hear me now?
Well, I always like my fridge. Now I think I would like this fridge even more. And you may think, well, this is not Africa. Maybe it's not today, but let me tell you, you will see more and more digital experience like that. And one thing again, I mentioned that we should be proud of what we have in South Africa, what we have in other countries on the African continent. And one example is we all heard about Amazon Go, the experience where you go shopping and you don't pay, right? You walk in, you grab what you want, you return things which you changed your mind on, and then you walk out and you are being charged exactly the amount which you owe to Amazon. But by the way, recently, I think it was last year, Checkers have done a similar pilot. So it's something which is possible. What's interesting about both of these experiences when you saw the video around the family hat from Samsung or this experience from Checkers Rush or Amazon Go is you don't see the payment. You don't feel the payment experience. But the payment is there, so don't get fooled. You know, the bill comes at the end, no matter what. So how is this all possible is because of the technology which is currently available. We have gone a long way in the last 20 years. Yes, smartphones have not been around for so long, but they have completely transformed how we interact with each other, how we consume services, how we expect to transact with each other. And the rise of this platform concepts and ideas where we want to be in charge, we want to be in control, and we expect convenience are translating into every aspect of our lives. And the thing is, we don't want to compromise. We don't want to compromise anymore because we know what we want. And whatever experience we have here, we then translate it into another industry. So yeah, that's the challenge for us in the financial services industry, that we have to live up to the new expectations and to the new standards. The reality, however, is that in South Africa, I mentioned still 9 out of 10 payments are done in cash. And cash is a default for many South Africans. Unfortunately, cash is not ideal. This is a picture which before me moving to South Africa 4 years ago, I never saw. And it became kind of a day-to-day reality because cash is dangerous. It's risky. People get robbed. People lose lives over cash management, cash handling. And we need to change that. It's not an easy journey. It's something which will likely take time because to start scraping away from this 9 out of 10 to get to at least half will take a lot of creative levers and a lot of innovative ideas to start convincing people, no, you can trust your digital channel. You can trust your smartphone to be the channel how you transact, how you pay. And we need to make sure that the acceptance happens because it's not only about having consumers comfortable with the idea of paying digitally, but it's also important that the cost of doing so is reasonable. And for the merchants, wherever you want to pay this 10, 15 rand amount for your day-to-day necessities, that the merchants are equipped to accept the digital payment. And yes, when I talk about this innovative future, while the country is experiencing load shedding and sometimes we don't even have basic needs like electricity, it seems a bit of a contrast, but let me tell you, we cannot give up. When you look at what's happening around the world, when you look at the inflation, when you look at the hit the pandemic and COVID had on our economy, the recovery is absolutely critical and crucial. And there are a lot of research which are showing that a well-performing economy usually has a well-performing payment system. It doesn't mean that once we put a payment system which is friction-free, easy to use in place, our economy will automatically start doing better. No, but it's more likely to be the case than having cash as the main form of payment for another decade or so. So the good news is that we are not actually alone in this. There are many economies, countries, which changed. They used to be cash dominant, and now the experience is quite different. So what we did, we went on a payments tour. And it doesn't sound so exciting if you are not into payments, you are not passionate about payments, you are not a payments geek like myself or the people I work with. But when you go to countries like India, Thailand, and some others, you see that whatever you can do can really make a huge difference in people's lives. So let's watch a little bit what's happening in India.
Sarafuddin has been selling fish at the local market in the outskirts of Ernakulam in Kerala for many years. But in the last few months, with the pandemic raging, he's noticed a clear shift among his clients. Few now choose to pay him in cash.
It seems like everyone has shifted to mobile payments now. Most prefer to pay using an app these days.
The demonetization of currency notes in 2016, where more than 80% of cash was taken out of circulation, gave digital payments a big boost in India. But COVID has taken their adoption to a whole new level. Last year, India surpassed China and the US to lead the global tally in payments with 25.5 billion real-time transactions. That's more than a third of the global total.
So the problem is that the experience you see in one country, you cannot just take and move to the South African context because often it wouldn't work. You see M-Pesa. M-Pesa wasn't as successful or has not been as successful in South Africa as it was in some other regions of the continent. But what we did, we got inspired by the UPI, the Unified Payments Interface from India, and we developed our own version of it. So we call it a rapid payments program, and some of you may have heard about it because we have been on this journey for the last 3 years together with the banking industry, with the Payment Association. And it's quite simple what we are trying to do, but what we are doing is building or giving you few building blocks. And in simple language, there are 3 features which the Rapid Payments program will deliver. And almost imagine it like Lego blocks. We give you, the financial institutions, payment service providers, these Lego blocks, and you will be able to put them together in your own way to take advantage of these features and make a difference, bring new innovative services to the market. Because we cannot think of everything. That's up to you. So what these three features are, sometimes I'm embarrassed to talk about them because they are kind of simple, and I feel that the payments industry should have actually resolved these things a long time ago, but we have not, so here we are. So first is instant clearing, which means when you decide to move money from one account, being it a bank account or any other store of value, to another bank account, you should not wait. You should be able to move it in a matter of seconds. And more importantly, the person on the other side should be able to use the money right away. Because if we want to compete with cash, the same experience has to be delivered in the digital world. So that's one thing, we call it instant clearing. The second thing is, it's not always easy to address a payment today. You have to ask for a bank account, you have to ask for a branch code sometimes. And no, we want to be able to pay each other based on some information we ideally already know about us. So I should be able to send you money based on, I don't know, your cell phone number or your business name. And I don't have to know where you bank or where your bank account is. You will link the cell phone number as an alias to the store of value, to the bank account, which you want my money in a matter of seconds to appear in. So again, that's something we call proxy, a relatively simple experience, almost like an address book that you link your cell phone numbers to your bank accounts, and then me, by just choosing your cell phone number in my contact on my phone, I will be able to pay you. And the third one, which also doesn't seem as much, but it's quite creative Lego block, which can be used in many, many use cases, is something called request to pay. So you, being a merchant, being an individual, being an e-commerce provider, you can ask me to pay you in real time. And I authorize a payment, and everything, again, in the matter of seconds will happen, and the money will get transferred from my bank account to your store value. So that's RPP, and I will hopefully bring it home at the end of my presentation when I run another video about RPP and what we are trying to do and how we believe it will transform the lives of people in South Africa. The other thing is about financial inclusion and payments experience. It cannot happen without digital inclusion. We need to make sure that people can authorize, authenticate, and validate digitally that what they are attempting to do, they are really themselves, and that those transactions are genuine transactions, authorized transactions. I think, again, as South Africa, one thing we can be proud of is the database with which the Department of Home Affairs created. We can now validate citizens, we can validate the ID numbers through biometrics. There is much more, though, and I don't think we as BankservAfrica have an ambition to be creating a different digital identity solution. No, that's not who we are. We are about interoperability. So making sure that the database the Department of Home Affairs created should be the center of our digital inclusion, of our digital identity. However, there are other solutions which have been popping up to augment this digital identity experience, because it's not always only about validating the ID, validating that somebody is a citizen of the country as they are claiming to be. It's also about additional credentials. When you want to validate your education, when you want to validate your driver's license, when you want to validate your vaccination status against COVID, there are many, many use cases. And what we are trying to create, and that's just a journey which we have just started, and it's quite exciting, and I think we are creating a lot of excitement across the industry, is we want to create interoperability. We want to create level of trust, rules, where these different solutions provided and thought through by different companies, by different entities, can work together seamlessly. So then you can seamlessly authenticate yourself against the Home Affairs database, and then you can also claim some other credentials which are provided by other entities. So we'll see how it goes. At this point, it's definitely in earlier stages than our rapid payments program, where we are in industry testing and we should be going live later this year. Digital identity just started. We embarked on the journey 6 or 8 months ago. There are a lot of research papers which you can read through. But if you are excited about it as much as we are, please join us on the journey, because this will take the broader community, not just the financial sector, to make it a reality and to make it happen. So financial services for the future, right? I mentioned that we may have fallen behind, even though there were some payments, especially payments innovation, where South Africa was first in the world, but now we need to get better. So just a few thoughts. We need to have a digital finance as a priority. We saw it during COVID, when some of the basic things we are used to, how we transact physically, if there is a restriction for whatever reason, we cannot move, we don't want to touch anything physical, digital way of transacting is the way forward. And it has to be also reliable, and it has to be fast. Because we saw that, especially during the pandemic, there were many people in South Africa and elsewhere who were in a desperate need for help. So distributing the financial aid by government to those in need became extremely important. Again, not only in South Africa, also in other parts of the world. And the countries which actually had a digital payment solution, a real-time payment solution, benefited greatly. We saw it in the video from India. The government was able to distribute financial aid rapidly, and people could take advantage of it right away. I think we still have a little bit of a gap there to close. Digital identification, I mentioned, payments are all about authorization and authentication. So that's something which we need to do a little bit better, take advantage of the great things, the great foundation which has been put in place, and let's make sure that the financial inclusion goes hand in hand with digital inclusion. Data. You hear everyone talking about data being the new gold, and it's true. Today, unfortunately, not much data travels with a payment, which is causing a lot of issues. When people try to reconcile payment, what is this person paying me for? It's a problem, mainly for larger corporate customers, but even for smaller merchants or even individuals. Sometimes it's hard to know what is this payment for. With ISO 20022 and some of the new payment standards which are going to be coming as part of RPP or have been part of the debit check solution, we are improving that. And people will have to learn how to use this data for good, right? We want to create commercial models where consumers benefit. So if my bank, if my financial institution, if my fintech can learn more about my needs, can understand from my data how to help me, I think I will be willing to pay extra for that experience if I'm getting something in return. We will not want to pay for just pure transacting, because that's something which is becoming almost like table stake. We hold money with you, so we don't want to be paying when we decide to move money from one place to another. But if you can bring me more value, you can bring me some greater deals because you know me better as your customer, well, I think I may enjoy paying you for it, because it's a win-win. So what are the key drivers? And you hear a lot of these things being presented by many people in the industry. We hear a lot about this platformization. We hear a lot about disintermediation. I see it a little bit differently, because with our 50 years history, we are all about connecting silos. In the past, the banks, they were only able to serve their customers. If you wanted to send money from one bank customer to another bank's customer, it was a challenge, right? You may remember days when you could only withdraw money from an ATM which was linked to your bank. And in some countries, unfortunately, this is still the experience. Sometimes merchants in some countries, they have to have multiple point of sale terminals, because based on which card you bring, they have to plug it in the right terminal. So all of that, because of companies like us, the clearing houses, somebody who works in the background and make it seamless, creates the interoperability. I think we can connect different parties. So for me, it's not about disintermediation, it's really about interoperability. and giving consumers what they want. You know, we as consumers, I mentioned, we are spoiled by fantastic digital experience. And we are becoming a little bit less loyal to brand, but more loyal to this experience. And I see a future where banks, non-banks, fintechs, large technology companies will work together to do together what each of them does the best. So banks will provide banking. We will hold the funds. We will provide credits. We will do all things which banking is supposed to do. But getting these services to the markets, getting these services to the small merchants, to spaza shops, it will take more than just banks. We will need to partner with other companies which are excellent in coming up with new way how people can transact with their smartphone or feature phone. And what we're gonna do in the background, we will make it possible. Regardless if you want to transact in, rand or new CBDC currency the central bank may issue, or cryptocurrencies or loyalty points, whatever value you want to hold, we should be able as the industry to move it for you seamlessly and with speed. And that's the future we are building for as BankservAfrica. Of course, some of the goals ahead of us are not only national. It's not only about working for the best interest of our economy. There are some global goals as well. The South African development community is an area with one of the largest remittance costs when it comes to cross-border. So as BankservAfrica, we are transforming that experience as well through a program called PCIB, which we have just launched, which really enables a real-time cross-border movement between bank accounts, mobile wallets across SADC, and we are very excited about that achievement. I talk about the digital financial inclusion and digital inclusion on its own. We will need to work together as government, as telecommunications industry, as banking industry to bring all these pieces together. There is no financial inclusion without digital inclusion. Our digital identity project is another piece of the puzzle, but it will take the entire community to make that happen. And why we do that? Because we want Africa to strive. I want Africa to continue being the place where all people around the world will look and say, hey, this is how payments are done. This is how financial services are done. This is how the experience is delivered to people, to consumers, to businesses. And that's the future we are building and we will be building together. Don't get me wrong. It's a very, very ambitious future and it will be full of challenges. But please think about the art of the possible. Think what we can do together if we work together as the industry. We will be in the background supporting these initiatives. We will not compete with you because we are the utility which makes it happen. And we will push your ambition. We will hopefully encourage you to think big and make things which South Africans and Africans more globally or more broadly will remember for a long time. So that's from me, and please, if you spent the last couple of minutes just listening to the video around RPP, thank you so much, and thank you for listening.
It's 6 a.m. on a cold Tuesday morning. As usual, Mom Tembo is already packed up and ready to leave her home, anticipating a very busy day of work ahead. Just as she's picking up her work boxes and quietly opening the door to leave, she hears a soft voice saying, "Gogo, please don't forget that I've got to pay for my school visit to Gold Reef City." Mom Tembu smiles and makes her way to work. She makes about 350 Rand a day selling fed cooks, fruit and snacks outside a taxi rank in Sandton. She only transacts in cash. Mom Tembo represents the majority of working South Africans who deal with only cash. They account for a significant portion of South Africa's robust and diverse informal economy. Regardless of socio-economic class, everyone agrees that the COVID-19 pandemic has challenged the ways we view, engage, and interact with money. The times we're living in aren't just changing, they're evolving. We have entered the era of the new normal. The people of South Africa are looking for better, innovative, and safer ways to pay. Introducing the Rapid Payments Program, an industry initiative to develop a new payment solution that allows people to quickly pay, send, and receive money, simply using their phones and only needing a cell phone number. It will revolutionize the way Mam Tembu and millions of others engage with their money. The tech-savvy and the technophobes like Mam Tembu will equally find this platform easy to use, regardless of whether they have a smart or feature phone. RPP will, amongst other things, contribute in building a safe, reliable and efficient national payment system that benefits the whole of South Africa, and be a reliable channel for the government to quickly move money to the people who need it the most. It's now 6 p.m. It's time for Mam Tembu to pack up and head home. Thanks to RPP, she'll do so carrying minimal cash and without the anxiety of being robbed of her hard-earned money. On the taxi home, she has the unfamiliar feeling of her mind being free and at ease. Perhaps she'll use this time to dream of one day opening her own store at the market. Or maybe she'll just simply wonder what it is about the kids of today that makes them enjoy the thrill of roller coasters so much. Introducing the Rapid Payments Program, a South African payments initiative.